Hello again! It's time to look at some more spicy, pricey football shirts. We're going to jump into it now because by now I think we all know the rules. If you're new to the channel, then hello and hopefully you enjoy this style of content. So in 10th place we have Leeds United, and this one says Original Vintage 1970s Leeds United Away Shirt Men's. For my little bit of research that I did, I think it's from 1976, but it's going to be from that ballpark. And this was an interesting shirt for a few reasons, mainly because I quite like the logo. Of all the Leeds logos, I quite like this one because it's just kind of goofy. But the only thing that I don't like is I don't like the style of the shirt because it reminds me of a polo shirt, and I hate wearing those for work, so I don't think I could ever invest in that as a collector. And this one is just, the gentleman just says that it's in great condition. It's an actual genuine shirt, not one of the remakes. And there was a little bit of interest. There were 18 bids, and it ended up going for £429. So that's a decent start. It's, the iconic Leeds yellow. So obviously now they play in white, but I believe as time went by, yellow was their primary colour. In 9th place, so we have one of the Aston Villa goalkeeper shirts. It's not too often we see goalkeeper shirts, but this time they are featuring. And Aston Villa had that little bit of a period between sort of 90 to maybe 94, where there's quite a lot of interest in those shirts. Not necessarily just the home and away, but quite clearly the goalkeeper. Now, with it being a 90s goalkeeper shirt, it has kind of a bit of a jazzy design, not as crazy as some of them, but of course it has the sort of the padded sleeves as was sort of the sort of trend back then, and it has the Umbro diamonds along sort of the elbows. So the person selling this again is just very similar to the others. Just say it's in great condition and it's an extremely rare shirt. It is in medium, which is something you don't see too often with these vintage shirts. You know, it's usually like extra large, large, and when you take into the fact that they're already quite baggy, I can only imagine they would fit quite poorly, or at least somebody like me would. So with 13 bids, it ended up going for £452, which is not too bad for a shirt that's in a decent nick. If you're an Aston Villa fan, it probably would have been one you were looking at. So this one is one of those shirts that everyone can recognise. It sort of features in those lists of top 10, top 50 worst football shirts released, which as a collector, it kind of makes you want to purchase it more because it's something that everyone can recognise. It has a story behind it, and there's always going to be a level of interest. So it says home shirt from 93, 94, so it's quite a little bit old, and it's in medium once again, so it's in a great size. Now the condition looks pretty good from the photograph that there's been supplied. But this, it was quite funny. He says, going to sell but need the money for other investments. I wonder what other investments he's looking to buy. Maybe he needs more money to buy players on his FIFA Ultimate Team. Who knows, eh? So there were 34 bids, and it ended up getting £460. Now, he's looking to invest in other things, and we don't know what they could be. It could be something that has some great returns, but, rare and vintage football shirts, the values generally just keep going up. Some will go up quicker than others, but I'd think that if he wasn't in a particular rush, then I would have held on to this, but, that's his prerogative. Next, we have Ipswich Town. So it's the 86 Adidas home shirt, and it says player match worn with a number 5. It is large, so it's still, a decent size. And it's one of those iconic Ipswich shirts. I think whenever people think about Ipswich, this is probably one of the designs that sort of jumps out of you when you're doing that. It has the iconic sponsor. For me, I kind of like this. I like the collar. It's my favorite collar style, and I do like the old style Adidas logo. Again, this is just somebody saying that this is an authentic one. It's not a modern copy, and he starts to talk about the differences between a regular shirt and the player issue version. He also mentions in the description that it's signed, which he didn't put that in the title, which I think is a bit of a mistake. He could have got a little bit more interest there. He says there are 18 signatures, and he recognises about 5, which, as you can imagine, with the shirt they sold, it kind of has faded away. And if you look at the image on screen, you can't quite see it unless you look specifically. But he says the shirt is in decent condition. So 20 people went to bid, and it ended up going for £537. So that's not too bad, though I think he should have mentioned the signature part. So this one is an interesting one. So it's a Mohamed Salah Liverpool home shirt from last season, and it is signed, and it comes in a club box. Now, I didn't realise club boxes were a thing. I mean, have shirts in boxes, but this one looks a little bit beaten up from the image. And then when you scroll down, so it's coming from a place called SJ Memorabilia, who I've never heard of before, but they claim to be, authentic and genuine and lifetime guarantees and whatnot. And then when you read the description, it's quite a decent description, but it says, this was a limited release originally purchased from the Liverpool official store, missing the Liverpool certificate of authentication. Wonderful. How can you miss? Why would you lose that? That's the most important thing other than the shirts. They kind of go hand in hand. So they're obviously taking this on, so I don't know, good faith that it's genuine. They're going to provide their own, but I mean, you'd want that one from the club, wouldn't you? So that was a bit weird. But of course it is, Mohamed Salah right now, possibly second best player in the world behind Reece James. And obviously that gained a lot of interest. 28 bids, ended up going for £620. So well done, you have a shirt in a box. To be honest, I'd rather it be in a frame, but that's just me. And it's time for another Blackpool shirt. So of course, last time we had the Blackpool shirt, and this time again. I think we all quite like the design. It's orange, and it's the sort of the general pattern. Blackpool FC 89 Andy Garner player worn shirt. So the description says, I was given this shirt after a cup match at 89 by Andy Garner whilst I worked for the club. I've had it for 32 years or so, and it's very rare. Not many of these player worn shirts were given away at the time. I know the same shirt went on here for £840 recently. Have you been watching the videos? And that was not a player worn shirt, so I hope that this goes for at least that price. Well, he said he put it on as a starting price of £800, and that's what it sold for. So you didn't quite get the money that you were expecting, but that's still a nice little bit of change there. Maybe the one person who would have bought it has just spent £840 on a shirt. And next is, of course, it's Manchester United. The list would not be without Manchester United, but they haven't made the top 3 this time, so I wonder who they could be. And this is a shirt that I think we've seen many times on here. It's either going between different sellers and they just keep reselling it, or this shirt was mass-produced, or possibly it's just some guy making fake versions, because it seems like it's too good to be true. It has everything on there. It's from a very iconic season. It has all of the patches and it has all of the printing on. It's brand new with tags. It's long sleeve. It's signed. It has the world's best manager on the back. Like, this shirt is just impeccable condition. The description is non-existent. It just literally says original Umbro. Wow, great, wonderful. But of course, it's still going to attract people buying it. 35 bids, £830. Yeah, why not? Whatever, just do what you need to do. Top 3, and it's Norwich City Scoreline football shirt, 87-89 match 1 issue player jerseys. So it's one of those two things. And this person provided many photographs, including a wonderful photograph there of an ex-player. And this one also made me laugh. It says, fantastic shirt and original from the 80s. Condition is amazing. Doesn't look to have ever been worn. Doesn't look to have ever been worn. And yet in the description you put match worn. So which one is it, my friend? So clearly it's not probably match worn. But it's still, there's a bit of a small niche interest in Norwich City shirts, certainly from late 80s, early 90s, when they were sort of like a top division team. And this time there were 39 bids, and it pushed it over £1,000 to £1,019. So that's a decent bit of change, that, for a football shirt that's never been worn. And in second place, okay, so this was an interesting one. So when I'm doing these videos, I just go through eBay and I sort of tab away the shirts that I want to add to the list. And this one I saw, it says authentic West Ham away shirt, long sleeve, 91-92 season. I thought, sweet, perfect, I will add that. And then when I looked at it, I thought, wait a minute, why is there images of a goalkeeper shirt? And then why is there other images of other numbers on the back? So then I read the description, and it says, authentic West Ham away shirt, long sleeve, 91-92 season, with official Football League badge on sleeves, worn by the first team, given to me by the club. I have shirt numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. So no 13. Unlucky some. And that's it. So it's not. It's quite ambiguous, really, isn't it? It doesn't tell you if you're getting all of them, one of them, some of them. Like, what are you going to get? So one person bid on this and took a chance, and they ended up spending £1,200. Now, for me, that's a lot of money for one shirt. But if you've got 13 shirts, well, that's less than £100 per shirt, which I think is too cheap. So he's either been absolutely rinsed or the seller's been rinsed. So I'd be quite interested to know what that person received, but it was just a bit of a weird listing. And in first place we have England. It's Kevin Keegan, one of the most iconic England players and one of the most iconic players certainly from this period of time, one of the best in the world. So it's a match-worn England shirt versus Hungary in 1981, and you also get a signed program with it. So it's not a signed shirt, you get a signed program. Now, this one is probably the most detailed sort of description I've ever seen. Firstly, it talks about the shirt. This is a very special football shirt worn by a very special player. Kevin Keegan wore this one in the qualifier. He captained the side in the shirt, and they won 1-0, which then allowed them to qualify for the '82 World Cup in Spain. So it's got quite a bit of a significance and importance. This shirt was recently part of a collection recently acquired by us, Central Sports Memorabilia. I'm not sure who they are, and was previously professionally framed. So it just details a little bit more about the match itself. The condition of the shirt looks really good, to be honest, for a shirt that's they sold. And there's always going to be interest in this, especially from some collectors in the UK. And 29 bids. I ended up going for £2,205 and 0 pennies. So quite a decent amount of money. I think that's probably quite fair, to be honest. It's just really iconic. And if you've got other England shirts and maybe this vintage, I think that would sort of make it look even better than it already is, I suppose. But that's it. That's your top 10. Value-wise, not quite as crazy as some of the weeks we've had. Maybe people are saving up for Christmas for their big sort of purchases, or maybe they're waiting for Black Friday sales, but I don't think that quite applies to eBay. But there we go. So what would I go for? The England shirt's actually quite nice. It's probably quite a nice little piece to own. West Ham ones, to be honest, I quite like the colour scheme. I'd be just wondering what I would receive though. The Norwich one's okay also. The Manchester United is it's just my favourite person in the world, Solskjaer. Blackpool one again is nice. Mohamed Salah, just a bit weird, that one, isn't it? Ipswich one's okay. The Hull City one's probably quite cool to own. Aston Villa goalkeeper, I'm not a huge goalkeeper shirt guy. And then the Leeds shirt, I couldn't ever own a Leeds shirt anyway. So there was some actually pretty decent shirts there. I think we'd all agreed. Prices were not as crazy, so it's maybe a little bit more realistic in what you should expect to spend. But let me know which of the shirts that you would buy, which of the shirts you think were overpriced. And maybe, did you buy any of these shirts? If you were the guy who bought the West Ham shirts, tell me, what did you receive? Anyway, that's it for this week. The videos that I've got coming up are quite interesting. I have one on Tuesday, which is going to be fun. I really was curious to know how that was going to go, and it ended up going okay. And then on Friday, I had a video that kind of took a bit of a different turn. I was set up to do one thing, and then ended up turning to another thing. It'll become clear when I release the video for you guys publicly. Anyway, I hope you all have a good week coming up, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.